So this is lesson 4 on here, and here we're looking at different leadership styles. Really straightforward stuff. So here we've got an autocratic leader, democratic leader, paternalistic leader, laissez-faire leader, and finally on there is a bureaucratic leader. Now a bureaucratic leader just uses rigid rules and procedures. Laissez-faire is a bit like the Blake Moulton grid, which is an example of impoverished management, where you let the workers get on and they make their own decisions with very limited supervision. We have the autocratic leadership style, which is where you make the decisions without consulting the workers, or the leader does. Democratic is where you consult with the workers and it becomes more of a joint decision. Paternalistic, you're working as a family unit, bit of a father figure. You consult the workers, but you then tend to make the decision based upon that. We've also looked at these models over here. Obviously, with the Blake Moulton grid, the best form of management is probably team management, which is focused on the task and people, and not the people-centered management, which is just focused on mainly on the people. The middle of the road management. Remember with Maggie Thatcher, if you stand in the middle of the road, you're probably going to be knocked down. Then we have these ideas on here, which is authority and compliance, where you just focus on the task and less so on the actual people. The Tanner and Schmidt model continuum with theory X and theory Y, which is where we go from autocratic to democratic, and somewhere on that band will be your leadership style, so it can be quite useful in terms of all of that. But the most important thing is that you look at the context of the passage and you decide what you are going to do from there, depending on the situation that you're in. So therefore, if you've got theory X workers, you're going to obviously take more of an autocratic style. It depends upon the training of the workers. It depends upon your own leadership style as to what you're going to do from there. So this is the second part in this video, which is also to do with the leadership styles, and leadership styles autocratic all the way to laissez-faire. Now, there are factors that influence leadership styles, and there's external factors that will influence you. Now, in a way, this is very dry when we look at this, but this is like the building blocks for when you actually go and actually look at various businesses. And the factors that influence leadership is depending on the skill levels and experience of the leader, the culture of the organisation, and also the time constraints in terms of how long it takes to do something. The external factors is to do with the external environment and the nature and speed of change within the industry. So in some industries there is constant change and you constantly have to adapt, and there's constantly new threats to that business. When you get on to the idea of managing change, right, so there's two things here, I think, and this syllabus makes a big deal of these. So you manage the change, and that's down to your managers, but then the leadership also has a role. Now obviously what the leader does is he creates a vision of what the organisation could be like, he motivates staff at all levels, and he puts change at the centre of an organisation. So that's actually leading change on here. The managing change part is setting new objectives that recognise the need for change, ensuring that the firm has adequate resources, and putting in place plans to meet new changes. So the managing change part is here. So it's all to do with plans and ensuring the firm has adequate resources and to meet the particular changes that the firm is actually talking about. Right, whereas leading change is you establish a vision for change, you motivate all of the staff, and you're putting change at the centre of the culture of an organisation. There is a big difference between managing change and leading change. I hope you got the message. Thank you. So we are still on lesson 4 here, and the effectiveness of different styles of management and leadership. Now we've already done the different theories, autocratic all the way to democratic to laissez-faire, the Tanner and Schmidt model, and the Blake and Moulton grid. And I think what you can always say is, well, obviously the team management style is the best, because then you're focusing on task and you're also focusing on people as well. Now clearly that's the best form of management, but this is a real crisis situation on here. So in this situation we just need to focus on task, but maybe over the longer term we need to go back and think of that team management style. When we look at the Tanner and Schmidt model, perhaps once again there's a crisis in the firm, so therefore we need to be more autocratic in our approach, but over the longer term we need to be more democratic. And then you probably need to also bring in leaders, and probably the best example of that is Steve Jobs, who was a slightly sort of dysfunctional but incredible individually in terms of leading Apple and one of the most extraordinary entrepreneurs that we've ever had. However, Tim Cook has taken over him, and Apple seemingly appears to be doing even better. Now he's got a more democratic, inclusive style of leadership, which at this time appears to be working. So, but at one stage, when Steve Jobs first took over, he would have been to the Autocratic, Tannenbaum and Schmidt model, and he would have been on the task-orientated path in terms of Apple. But as Apple changed, then you need a new style of leadership. Now that's the sort of thing that they love in the exam, but you've got to relate that to the context of the actual question. Anyway, so then you have to make a judgment on which theory and why, depending upon the case study. Now, when you actually manage change, a leadership, now we're talking about leadership, you need to have a clear vision for change, you need to make confident and effective decisions for the organisation, support and understand the needs of the business, and communicate clearly the objectives of the firm, and also have a very, very clear plan for the future. So this is therefore what you need to do. Thank you.